Hey, what's going on, guys? Domino Paris 21 here, and I'm here with a card comparison for you guys. So the comparison I'm choosing to do today is between two of the biggest bosses of Royal Paladins. So right here you have the King of Knights Alfred, the original OG of Royal Paladins, you know, starting off from set 1, the very beginning, and then now one of the new bosses that we got from set 5, Majesty Lord Blaster, the ultimate form of the blasters. Excuse me. So, basically what you have here is the classic comparison of consistency versus power. Now, it's not to say that Alfred is not a powerful card, because he is in some situations, but he's more known to be a good, consistent, reliable card in Royal Paladins, as the Majesty Lord Blaster, a very powerful card. Can be very devastating to your opponent, especially early game if you get a skill off. In terms of consistency, I mean, you could make a consistent deck around him, but I mean, it's not as consistent as Alfred, but I'll get into detail with both of them. Now, let's actually start with the original OG, King of Knights Alfred. Now, why is this card so good, and why is this card so consistent? Well, his two skills is what makes it. So his Vanguard skill, of course, is the iconic skill that we saw Aichi always emphasize on during Season 1 of Cardfight Vanguard. Basically, he gains 2,000, while in Vanguard Circle, he gains 2,000 for every Royal Paladin you have in your Rearguard Circle. So of course, like, with the original build of Alfred, you have ways to kind of like fill up your field, swarm your opponent, so you can gain power bonuses for him without committing too much resources, which is always good. So he can be boosted, so the most he can hit is 20,000, which is still good. Now the reason why I don't think he's a power card, he's on, like, 20,000 is good against like a 10k Vanguard, but more commonly now, especially with Crossbrides out and 11k Vanguards being more common nowadays, the 20,000 is not really going to do much. But what makes this good is that you can, for instance, have a field of Royal Paladins, like, I don't know, like this, for instance. So if you have a field like this, you could leave Alfred unboosted. He's still swinging for 18. So if you're taking on an 11k Vanguard, a 13k Vanguard, like a Cross Ride, it's still a good number. Not the highest number in terms of threatening power, but with Alfred, as long as you can hit the minimum number necessary, that's fine. So that's one thing. That's one good thing about this passive skill. So you don't have to commit an extra card to be able to boost them effectively. Instead, you can save your good boosters for your rear guard, so they can continue to hit good numbers. So that's why he's pretty consistent and reliable. But really, what makes him, but his second skill is what really makes this card a very splashable, reliable deck in different variants of Royal Paladins. So Alfred is good in his own deck, revolved around himself. But even like in a even in a Majesty Lord Blaster deck, I mean, I even run 2 of him because his second skill's really, really good. So it's Counterblast 3, search and Superior Call a Grade 2 or lower Royal Paladin from your deck to the Rearguard Circle. So, a couple things. One, some players I use this against, they tend to overlook the fact that you can do this in Rearguard. So, you can have like a boss Vanguard, have this just sitting here, and then anytime you want, you just Counterblast 3, and then just Superior Call something. It's just a free +1. Most importantly, it's not an on-call skill, so you can just do it anytime you want in the game. Now, the Counterblast 3 may seem like a hefty cost, however, with most decks of Royal Paladins, if not almost all of them, they don't necessarily rely on Counterblast to do anything. Like, if you splash this in Majesty Lord Blaster, really, the only card that really relies on counterblasting to get this guy to work is Starcall Trumpeter. That's it. And it's a counterblast 2, so you can still counterblast 2 and you still have this for later. That's really it. Like in a Soul Saver Dragon build, the really only thing you're doing is like using a Kane and maybe a Pongal, but a lot of times you don't use them both all the time, and you can still heal one and then still use this. Because it's not like you have to keep this in your hand to call him. You could do this anytime you want. That's what makes this card very effective. So, Royal Paladins, especially with leftover counterblast they have, a lot of them, if you just use that leftover counterblast on him, I mean, it's a very great benefit, and yeah, I mean, that's really what makes him a good, reliable card. So yeah, I mean, I like him. He's definitely probably my favorite Royal Paladin card, and you can put him in any build of Royal Paladin, so that's what makes him most consistent. like I said, the most power, when it comes to power, not the most powerful, but he hits the numbers he needs to. Now, next up, we're going to talk a little bit about Majesty Lord Blaster, one of the hottest cards right now to hit the TCG in Vanguard. So, excuse me. So Majesty Lord Blaster, what makes him like good? What makes him a power card? Well, if you're unaware of his skill, if you have a Blaster Blade and Blaster Dark in the soul, he gains a permanent 2,000 during your opponent's turn and your turn, so he's good defensively because he'll just sit at 12,000, and at the same time he gains an extra critical, so that gives more pressure to your opponent to block him. If not, they'll just take an easy 2 damage. Stack a critical trigger on top of him, then well he can end a lot of games. Now, of course, second skill is what I personally try to get off as early as I can in the game. If you have a Blaster Dark, Blaster Blade in your rearguard circle, when he attacks, add these 2 to soul, he gains 10,000. And then he does gain the 2,000 and crit bonus since these 2 are in the soul right now. So it's a good power play, especially to do early game against your opponent. Now, in terms of its consistency, I wouldn't say that it's the most consistent strategy because in my experience with playing MLB, if you open up with a really bad hand, like let's say you don't open up with a Blaster, Blade, or Dark, and maybe no Star Call, maybe you just open up with the Knights, then you're going to have some trouble, especially to try and use this early game. Just because the deck does require combo pieces. Any deck that relies on certain pieces to be together at the same time on field, or anything that any deck that requires pieces that combo with each other, there may be some consistency issues. So that's one thing with Majesty. But I mean, once you get it off pretty early, which is not too often that you don't, it can be very devastating to your opponent, and he can win a lot of games. He's a very scary card, good power card. Now, of course, what makes him a power card, I'd say, is not even just it's not even just the card itself. It's the cards around him, as most cross rides. Technically, there's not a cross ride. So, like one, you have the Knights, which is some of my favorite cards to use in the deck. Knight of Friendship K. He's a grade 1 7K booster that, when he attacks, if you have a unit in your Vanguard circle that has Blaster in its name, he gains 3,000. 10K attacker that also boosts for 7K. Phenomenal card. And this one here, same condition as K, but Bedivere is 9K and grade 2, and he's a 12K attacker, so he can hit for 20, put him behind a Pugil, hit for 21, and he can hit the right numbers against cross rides. So these are pretty good power cards that you obviously can put in an Alfred deck. Ugh, excuse me, guys. You obviously can't put these in an Alfred deck. So that's a couple good power cards that you can take advantage of when playing this deck. In terms of its consistency, like I said, like it's not like this is an inconsistent deck. I mean, obviously there is some consistency to it because there's cards that revolve around him, so that you can get the skill off. Otherwise, this wouldn't be such a hyped up card. But like, you have consistency cards such as a Star Call and a Wingle Brave. Wingle Brave, of course. One thing I actually overlooked with Wingle Brave is that whenever he boosts a Blaster unit and it hits, put him in Soul, and you search for any card with Blaster in its name, whether it's Lord Blaster, Blaster Dark, or Blaster Blade. One thing I overlooked with Wingle is that it doesn't have to hit Vanguard. You can just hit a Rearguard and he'll get the skill. So that's pretty good. And the Star Call Trumpeter, ugh, excuse me guys, I'm a little sick. So Star Call Trumpeter, although I'm not a huge fan of the card, it helps make the deck work with its consistency because essentially it becomes a wild card for any one of these guys. Blaster Blade, Blaster Dark. And it's kind of, so like, you know, obviously if you're missing one or the other, you just use it, Counterblast 2, and then bam, you have one of them, and then you can just do the skill. Now, this is really the only card that you would rely counterblasting on when necessary. If you don't even need to like if you really don't even need to like use Majesty Lord's skill, sometimes if I already have these 2 in the soul, I sometimes even use the Star Calls to just call a Blaster Blade and just use it as another free attacker. It's a free +1, especially against like a 10K Vanguard. It's pretty good. So yeah, that's basically what you're looking at in terms of the consistency of the deck. But like I said, any deck that requires combo pieces to be together will have some consistency issues here and there. So yeah, there you have it, guys. That's just my brief comparison and card reviews for both Majesty, Lord Blaster, and Alfred. Now obviously currently I am playing Majesty just because the power plays are very attractive to me, but of course I still am playing 2 copies of Alfred in my deck because he's still, in my opinion, the best Royal Paladin. One of the OGs of Vanguard. So, there you have it, guys. Definitely leave a comment down below. Tell me, let me know what you guys think about these cards. Which one do you like better or not? Or maybe if there's some certain points about these cards I never point out, feel free to let me know down below. And if you're interested in seeing my Majesty Lord Blaster deck, go ahead and click the link that I should already have in the video, somewhere around here. Go ahead and check that out if you haven't seen it already. And be sure to give a thumbs up to the video and be subscribed to my channel for more Vanguard content. Well, on that, guys, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye now.